Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the Juice is Loose, my weekly series where we talk about video games and Mario Kart 8 tournaments and all that. I'm your host, Terminator Juice, and as usual, I'm joined by my friend and my co-host, Derek Steelfox. Go ahead and say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm making another gem of an appearance on The Juice is Loose.
And he's got some stuff going on, so he's just gonna rock his icon, his awesome metal fox that some really cool dude made for him. So he's gonna rock that. So anyway, glad you could make it with that going on. So yeah, for this show we got some things planned. Obviously, gonna talk about the Mario Kart 8 tournament and some stuff that happened there. If anybody raced in that, and they know what I'm going to be talking about, we had some problems. But then we'll talk about some of the Comic-Con stuff Nintendo had, go over some news. Derek's got a feature on Destiny. He wants to talk about that game and the beta, and then we'll talk some sales. And then lastly, pun intended, we're going to talk about The Last of Us Remastered. I've never really given my thoughts on that game, so a lot of people have been talking about it. It's coming out, I think, tomorrow, and so we'll talk about that. So let's get started on the Mario Kart 8 tournament last week. The Juice is Loose was going great. We had a full lobby, 12 racers, and a few extra. There was actually 15 total participants, and it was like I think the top four guys were within 10 points of each other. It was the closest race we ever had, our tournament. And then race 11 comes up, and something went on, and boom, communication error, booted a bunch of people, and it was myself, Andrew, Gray, and Wheels Pig. It put us back into a lobby of four, and I tried to race it. I backed out. I came back in, and it put me in that same group, and I thought, well, it's only four of us, so I raced. And the problem with that was first place, I think, gets 4 or 5 points if there's four racers. And so I raced one, and I said, you know what, I'm going to back out. I'm going to go to my friends list and try to join some of these other players I was racing with. And lo and behold, I go to Rajo, I join him, and he's in a group of 8. So it split us into a group of 8 and a group of 4, and I don't know why. I don't know what caused it, some connection error. I've heard Francis from Player Essence said in our Saturday discussion that it was related to somebody with a weak connection, and it affected, multiple people. And it sucked because like that close group of 4 or 5 racers got scattered because the group of 8, they were getting 10 points for first place, while we were getting 4 or 5, and it really screwed over some people. I apologize. It wasn't anyone's fault, but it's the first time it's happened, and hopefully it won't happen again. So I'm going to go down the results. The people that ended up on top, the top 2 guys were in that group of 8 for the remaining 5 races. It was Jason K, Titanium. We're real close. I ended up getting 3rd still. Gray was right behind me. Then Ibsters, Blake, Andrew, Rajo, Wheels Pig, Blaze, Devin, Sora Life, Ramsey, and it was Mike and Harden 25. Really, they only raced a couple races. There was, like I said, there were some more issues. What can you do? It was the first time we had that, and Derek Steelfox had something going on. He couldn't be there to elaborate on this, so that's why I'm just kind of speaking here. It sucked. I was really upset. I was in 3rd place when we split, but I was only 4 points behind first. I was really excited about how this was going to finish, and things happen. It sucks, and it kind of ruined a really good tournament. And,
he was in tears, folks. He called me after the tournament.
I was angry. I will say that I almost didn't want to finish, but I hung in there, and I got the low points, and I just finished the race. And what can you do? It's the first time it's happened, but we got some good news, and actually Derek Steelfox is the one that told me. So why don't you go ahead and just mention what you had read about tomorrow in Mario Kart 8.
Well, tomorrow for Mario Kart 8, there is some scheduled maintenance. And I would love to elaborate, but that's all
all.
I know. Scheduled maintenance for your online play. Hopefully,
So,
the 8 will be able to handle it. But I don't know. We'll see. 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 We'll see
Did it like it's gonna be offline for a period of time? Like you won't be able to play Mario Kart 8 online? All right, so
Right.
I thought. So hopefully they are working on something that will improve that, and we won't have, we'll be the guinea pigs. The next day will be the tournament. So hopefully it doesn't make anything worse. So hopefully they improve it. So it's actually the first time they've actually done anything like that for Mario Kart 8 so far. No patches or anything that's been announced. They might have done some stuff behind the scenes, but um, hopefully they can fix that. It's not a patch. I don't want people to be mistaken. It's something to do with the server end of it that they're hopefully maybe adding servers or something, getting that Nintendo network ready, for November. They're going to have to make sure it works a little bit better than when Mario Kart 8 launched. We had a lot of communication errors, so that's good news. Hopefully they fix it, and anyone that raced in the tournament, hopefully this week we better. We're going to stick to all items, all vehicles, because it was going really well. I mean, one race I'd get 10th, and then next race I ended up getting first or second with the help of an item. So it actually was pretty balanced, and I was pretty happy. I don't know about anybody else, but yeah, so that's it for the tournament. Really not much to talk about this week because of those issues. I do want to remind anyone watching this, here's the code. I think pretty much everyone who watches these videos is either racing the tournament or knows about it, but just wanted to give you guys that last reminder. I'm wearing my Detroit Lions shirt, by the way, because they started training camp today. For any football fans out there, I'll be bringing up, to Derek's chagrin, I'll be bringing up football occasionally in my videos once the season gets going and stuff. I'm pretty diehard for my Lions. So with that, we're gonna move on. We got some news, nothing mind-blowing this week, but there was a game that I never played, but Derek actually played the demo on my 3DS I loaned to you, Bravely Default, and that game hit 1 million sold worldwide. I believe that's physical and digital, which is a pretty good achievement for a new franchise, and it was kind of a lower budget, wasn't anything major. You want to talk about your time with that demo real quick, and your thoughts on the fact that it sold 1 million, and they've already got a sequel coming out here relatively soon, I think next year. So why don't you go ahead and talk about Bravely Default real quick?
Well, I definitely don't have much to add that other people can't correct me on at this point. I did play the demo, but that's only because I don't own a 3DS. It's definitely a game I will pick up. I'm going to say when I get a 3DS, because I'm going to bite the bullet on this, but it was a fun game. I think a lot of role-playing game fans went for it. It's got a little bit of strategy to the standard turn-based system. I'm not going to go into anything because I definitely will talk out of my area of expertise on it. But it was a fun game. It deserved the sales. It's
something you would definitely buy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's something I would go for.
I never actually tried it. I downloaded the demo, and it was just out of my realm. So I let you kind of speak on that one. Another little bit of news is a pretty cool looking indie game that was just shown. I don't know if it was the end of last week, called The Swapper. It's available on PC like Steam and stuff right now, but it's like a 2D platformer survival horror with a really cool gameplay mechanic where you can duplicate yourself and create like a carbon copy of yourself in certain spots on platforms, and then use that person to activate switches to do all kinds of really cool stuff. And it looks like you can get up to like 4 clones of yourself, reminiscent of Super Mario 3D World with the double cherry mushroom. Really creepy atmosphere. The footage looked like it had to have been like the PC build, but they did say it would look closer to the PS4 version on Wii U than the PS3 version, which was interesting. But a really cool use of like smoke effects and lighting, and just a really interesting game that I never even heard of. I could go on Steam right now and download it, but this is actually a video topic I want to bring up in the future. But I'm not super into playing games on my PC. I'm not a big fan of it, and there's a few reasons why, which I'll go into someday. That might be my next discussion video, but looks like a really cool game. Guys, check out the trailer for The Swapper, and let me know what you think. If if you guys, indie games are kind of hit and miss for me, but this one looks really promising, and I'm kind of excited to see when that is going to release, and potentially based on the price, it might be a pickup for me. Derek, I don't think you saw that trailer yet. I think I told you about it earlier today.
I haven't seen it. You told me about it, but I think I will probably check the trailer out. It's not really my genre, but I always like to support those good-looking games where the effort is.
Yeah, I think you'd be interested in that gameplay mechanic. How it's not really it's 2D perspective, but it does not look like a fast action platform. It looks like a really slow, creepy type game. So definitely check it out. Anyone, if you got a Wii U, look forward to that. If you got a PC and you like to game on it, you can go pick that up probably cheap right now. So next, I completely skipped the Comic-Con stuff I want to talk about. What this kind of fits in together, actually, Hyrule Warriors. There was some new trailers. Princess Ruto. There was a features trailer. It was like 4 minutes long. Showed off the Master Sword, the Goron. So that was cool enough. But then at Comic-Con, Nintendo did a Treehouse Live event, and I kind of heard about it, but I didn't know it was going to be anything other than Smash for 3DS. I thought it was just going to be showing that tournament. They showed some really cool walkthroughs of Hyrule Warriors, and if you didn't check it out live, hopefully they'll start airing the replays here soon. I was in the middle of a home improvement project all weekend. I didn't catch much, but I did see that the Hyrule Warriors it was the Goron dude, and I think it's Darunia is his name. It just showed off a really cool level. It had lots of scale, lots of big stairways, looked like going down into the Goron city, underground. But the one thing that I was paying attention to was how fast that game moves. I've seen other trailers, but it moves fast. It definitely 60 frames per second. It's very fast, very intense looking action, and that really, of all the things I've seen, that looked really impressive. So Derek, we've seen, like I said, Princess Ruto. Now we've seen the Master Sword. Hyrule Warriors, it just keeps looking better and better, and we keep talking about it every week. So I guess anything to say about the new footage we've seen and the fact that the Master Sword's definitely being featured in the game now?
I watched the trailer again before we went live just because I wanted to show my infant children it, because it makes them smile. It's really good. The more they show this game, the more excited I get. They got the music, the flag, the whole trailer was just fantastic. A little bit of humor with the chickens there at the end. It's just it's a good looking, good music, good game. I'm very excited about this. I was bitter about it, and I still am, about the whole. We don't know too much about the online play, and that's kind of big for me because I really like that aspect of the Wii U. That said, of course, with the Miiverse, any game we play kind of has an online element to it. This game is really starting to sell me on just the single player because it's looking good. It looks like it has a lot more depth than I ever gave it credit for, and I just every week there's more info to gobble up. I just love it.
Yeah, and then one thing to note is they were playing, and then lots of the complaints have been in the trailers that the enemies don't attack when the characters are doing extended moves that take time. In this live treehouse, they barely had a second before they were getting hit. They were getting interrupted, so they're having to actually clear out some enemies to do some of these moves that took longer setups to perform, and so that's a big complaint people have had, pretty much debunked there if you watch that. Nintendo Everything, I believe, captured a 6 minute clip of that from the live treehouse thing, and I'll probably forget, but if I remember, I'll try to link that. But by the time people see this video later on, they might have all that stuff uploaded to the Nintendo YouTube channel, which if you haven't subscribed to that and you're watching me, then go subscribe to Nintendo's YouTube channel. They have all kinds of stuff. They have a Nintendo Minute weekly series that's interesting, and their Treehouse stuff, which I regrettably missed the majority of it, and I'm actually kind of mad at myself for starting that project. I should have waited a weekend, but all I thought was there was going to be a 3DS Smash tournament, and I started watching it Friday, and in between matches, they just had these three guys. They were good at commentating the live matches, but in between, they were just running out of things to say, and I wasn't digging it, so I tuned out, and I really missed out on some cool stuff. So that's just, I think that's going to be their new way. They're going to go to events and have live at the Treehouse. I think that's a good way to do it. It gets people who are video game fans excited. The only thing it doesn't do is reach out to those people on the fence who are still playing their Xbox 360s or the Wiis and stuff. They're not getting out there and getting the attention of people outside of gaming, but they're doing a good job of hyping people up that are video game fans that do watch that kind of stuff. And what do you think of this new Nintendo, really, with their digital event? Their directs have been all really so much improved, so much more entertaining, and now this live Treehouse thing being in their repertoire now, moving forward. You think that's a good move, or are you? I guess just give your feelings on it.
We already talked about this, maybe just in person, but man, who doesn't like the direction Nintendo's going? All their stuff is getting far more entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
You look forward to the directs for more than just a review on upcoming games. They're entertaining to watch. That's impressive. If a commercial can capture you in that way, I think they're doing pretty good by their audience.
Yeah, what do you think about the live Treehouse stuff? You think that's a good way? I mean, they're showing the game. Like, they're not showing you CGI trailers. They're showing actual people from the Nintendo Treehouse playing these games live. So, it really shows that they trust that this game looks good and that they're going to be representing the game well. The game's representing itself. They're not trying to hide it behind anything, like in a cinematic trailer or something. So.
Well, yeah, that's Nintendo way. They don't show us things that, if they don't feel like they're ready to show, they're not going to show it to you. And when they do show it to you, it's like we've talked about in the past, it gets better every time. So I like the Treehouse things. I've seen most of them, and I've enjoyed all of them because they've shown me a new perspective on upcoming games that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really disappointed that I missed out on a lot of that. But Francis chimed in here. He said in the trailers the difficulty is on easy for Hyrule Warriors. Dynasty Warriors is a hard series if you ramp up the difficulty. That's what I've been hearing. But I wanted to, for anyone watching this that didn't know, watch that Treehouse and you'll see they're taking all kinds of hits. So it's good to see that it's not some cakewalk where you just mash some buttons and destroy everything, because I've never played a Dynasty Warriors game, so I really didn't know what to expect. So I was not expecting to be hyped for this game. I'm kind of surprised that you're hyped for this game. From that first reveal, we were barely we just kind of it was like a blip.
It's like a testament to how they do it. That's exactly what we're talking about. Every time they show something, better and better. It's a build-up, not a CGI trailer where then they have to backpedal the next few months and explain why, it really can't do this frame rate, or it's really not going to look this good. It's all getting better.
Yeah, and I mean, people like us appreciate that. There's a lot of people that appreciate the other way, where they see it look awesome and the end result isn't, and they still accept it. But let's move on here. I think I mentioned in the beginning that I was going to have you talk about Destiny. Like I said, I was busy all weekend. I did not have time to play the Destiny beta. I mentioned it to you. You downloaded it and you tried it. Why don't you talk about the beta, exactly what it entailed and your experience playing it. You got to play it with your dad online, so you got to play it with another person you knew, and then any information you've looked up since then and how you feel about the game, going from basically knowing nothing about it till now it's got your interest a little bit. So why don't you go through that, talk about the beta and everything else after.
I would love to. There's a lot of games, well, not a lot, but they're getting more popular, games like this. The one I'm going to compare it the most to is the one everyone's comparing it to because it's the one I'm most familiar with, like a Borderlands-style game. So I really did not know anything about this game when I jumped in, other than that it had some role-playing aspects. And my dad was like, "Hey, I've been playing the beta," and I was like, "All right, I'll download it. I don't want to do anything else. So I jump in and I play, and I go through the first mission on my own. And you know what? Let me back up. There's some character customization here, and I know you were curious about that. You get to pick your class. There's 3 classes to pick from: Titan, Warlock, and Hunter. I'm going to go ahead and break those down right now. This might just be for the beta, and maybe I didn't get far enough to notice. I didn't notice any difference in really what we had to do or how we had to play in single player or as a party or in online, but the change in classes seemed mostly aesthetic to me. There were different armors, maybe some slightly different armor ratings. There were different skill names for skills that pretty much all functioned the same. I know there are some differences there. I don't want to give anybody's bad side, but it seemed like they were keeping that kind of basic. It looked like later on you can definitely branch out those classes. I would love to see more of that. That's something I like. I really like that aspect of any game. That's the part of role-playing games that gets me. So you go through and you customize your character, and I am not artistic at all. You know this about me. I can't design anything. I do not need a detailed character customization. I would prefer just to, have your character and that be it. I know a lot of people don't like that. I'm going to compare this to another game, Dark Souls, Demon Souls types game. For people that have played those, you have a really in-depth customization set, way more than I would ever need. Now back to Destiny. On the beta, it's nowhere near that. It's complete opposite. There's very little character customization what you can do. There's a couple different face palettes you can switch from. Not even enough. I like a lot of hair options because I'm really picky about it. There was good color options. There weren't that many hair choices. There weren't really a lot of face choices either. But I would prefer to have the set faces like they had there. That works better for me than having to adjust your eyes, your nose, your mouth. I can't get into that much detail. So it worked well for me, but if someone's looking for a really in-depth character customization, I don't know why you would, but it's not there, or at least it wasn't in the beta. Now, you go in, the storyline really gripped me. It's definitely a sci-fi game. I enjoyed the storyline. I listened to the narrator. I watched the cutscenes. Very impressive. Borderlands, I loved the game. Very fun to play. Storyline, I don't remember a bit about either of them. This one I kind of wanted to keep going through the story to kind of figure out what was going on, and it slows down a little bit, because it's supposed to be a longer game, and they can't just rush you through the storyline. You spend a lot of time collecting things and learn a little bit about the world, but that lore that they have set up, that has my interest. I want to hear some more about that. So we'll get into the open world here. It's not an open world, or at least it wasn't really. You have your hub, which is your main Earth town. You can party up. You can go to your shops. You can do all your things in that town. All the players are in there. I mean, I think it's split up between servers. I don't think you can see everybody at the same time, but that just makes sense. From there, you make your party. You pull up your well, you don't know it, but then you go up to your ship and you basically choose your missions from there, which it takes you down to a map. So it's not really an open world. You're not traveling on foot from place to place. You kind of get in your ship and just choose a destination where it drops you in there. I played with my dad a lot, and I played a little bit solo. In the differences, I had a lot more fun running missions with someone I knew. Probably would still be fun running with a random person, but when you drop into a map, other random players are there as well. I didn't have any issues with this, but I think I heard some other people complaining about it. You can have kill stealing and things like that because you can all shoot the same monsters. I'm not sure how experience is split for people that aren't in a group together. You can't shoot other players or anything like that, so there's none of that, but you do kind of run around in the same field with them so they can take your groups of monsters or your enemies. They can shoot them and kind of steal your kills that way before you get there. You're kind of fighting some of the missions. We were kind of fighting and waiting in line to complete the missions because there were other groups going through and clearing the monsters out that we had to get.
What was that? And for anyone, a couple people just joined, the viewers. We're talking about Destiny, the beta. Was there an option to do? I've heard people talking about like you go in like as single player, but then you do see other players randomly that you can kind of cross paths with. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And you do, and that's it. It's cool to see them, but if someone wanted to, they could literally just follow you around and harass you. Yeah. I didn't have any problems with that, but it could happen. There's nothing to stop it. You can't thankfully you can't kill other people, or that would be really out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the controls were fantastic. You know, for me, Call of Duty, it was just drop-in buttons. It did exactly what I wanted to do. I knew how to run and slide. I knew how to crouch. I knew how to jump. I knew how to do all that just from playing Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really tight. I didn't have any issues where it did seem like I was shooting, where I was aiming or anything like that. Stability was extremely good for a beta. I was pretty impressed with that. I've heard there's going to be microtransactions in this game. I don't know that that means it's going to be a pay-to-win type game. I'm sure the microtransactions are going to be mostly aesthetic, or at least I would hope so for those that want to invest in the game. I've also heard there's going to be a level cap of 20. I don't know that that's just for the beta, but that's a really small level cap, I think. I think you had to be 15 to do your first class change. I'm pretty sure if that is the level cap for now, I would imagine they're going to raise it. Bungie even hinted that they're definitely going to have some future, probably downloadable content installations to the game. I mean, they're planning on keeping it going.
Yeah, they're. I've heard that even into a potential sequel, and they spent a lot of money on this game, so you know they're going to try to get their investment back as much as possible. It's one of the most expensive games of all time, from what I'm hearing, since inception to now. So you know they're going to find ways to try to make some money back, as long as it doesn't ruin the experience. Like you said, if you can't pay to win, if it's just you can get, you know, make your character look different or make different gun skins, kind of like Call of Duty, you know, then it doesn't affect you. That would be, hopefully that's the route they take.
Yeah, me too.
So, go ahead.
I definitely have to get to some big points here, and I think for any other big role-playing fans, they'll know exactly why I had to get to these points. You know, you hear grievances about folks saying you'll have to go back to the same areas and stuff. That doesn't bug me. It's earlier in the game. You got to go back to areas and do different missions. I always, that repetitiveness never bugs me. I don't even get sick of fetch quests, and I said it out loud. Now, the loot system, I'm going to say, you know, open world I can get past. I don't mind having the hub. A loot system, though, you know, it doesn't have to be as in-depth as, say, Diablo, but there's really not a loot system here, and that was kind of upsetting to me. You know, you get awards for doing your missions, and that's it. You know, I miss the games where you go through and you collect so much junk that at the end of your mission you got to sift through the junk that you got to find what you want to equip, or there's that rare rare drop you got that you didn't expect that you need to level up 6 more times to even wear, so you just carry it with you. You sell all the crap. There was nothing like that. We would go through a mission. At the end, I'd get a pair of gloves. And it's like, all right, I got a pair of gloves. That's cool. I did a whole mission for that. It just was kind of lame, in my opinion. I really look forward to it.
You think maybe in the full game there might be a better system with more options and stuff? Or
I don't know. I really don't know. I didn't read anything where anyone indicated that was the case. Maybe they can. It seems like they might have to change the whole system to do that. I can only speak for what I know and have read from the beta. And that goes kind of the same for chests. You go through and you can find chests. I really did not find very many. 3, I think, and I played quite a bit. And all that was in there, I know I got one piece of equipment out of one of them, and the other ones I just got Glimmer, which is the currency there. Now, the currency is pretty important because you don't get a lot of your equipment through loot, so you actually do buy some equipment from vendors. Some really good equipment is on vendors. You just got to play online and do a lot of stuff to be able to unlock it. See, online, I think you've seen it before. Kind of, you said it reminds you of Domination off a Call of Duty game.
mm-hmm.
It's balanced in the fact that if you're a top-notch player, it's good, but I couldn't go in and I couldn't compete with anybody. I couldn't do. Even my dad, who even had more time on the game than me, he was much further than me. He couldn't go online and compete with anybody. It's not supposed to be balanced in that way. You know, you're using your character with your stats, trying to compete against people who have the best of the best. So I really didn't have a great experience with that, but I'm sure those people who were up there in the top tier enjoyed it quite a bit.
So you get rewarded for playing. Basically, your skills. You're going to be, if you've been playing a lot longer than somebody else, you're going to have an advantage. You're going to be more powerful, which is kind of an interesting thing to have in a first-person shooter like that.
that did seem to be my experience with the beta. And, you know, maybe there's some elements I missed. Definitely, if someone else knows more about it, you can correct me in the comments. That's just what I came across. Now, the AI is the last thing I wanted to touch on, because it's important and it's good. It's a good AI. I really liked it at first. They definitely know how to take cover, and that was almost all they seemed to know how to do. It was still early in the game. You know, I didn't come across any enemies. Once I got the hang of it, I could seriously just run up the melee attack they give you, just wrecks enemies. It just blows them down, and for the longest time, you're just one or two shotting them just by tapping your melee button. And you can run around with a shotgun and just blow these guys away once you figure out how they move. But, you know, they shoot really slow. You can just sidestep their bullets, which is kind of odd. You know, it was earlier, so maybe there's going to be better guns and stronger enemies. You know, the AI takes cover, but it's really repetitive. And I learned that really early on because I went through some of the early maps with my dad, who'd played with them a few times already. And, you know, there was a guy on my radar, and I didn't see him, and I was kind of like looking for him. And my dad just, oh, he's right over here. He always jumps behind this pillar, and he just walked over and meleeed him. And I was like, oh. So he kind of figured out he knew where everything was already going to be, just because they seemed to repeat themselves.
Okay.
So I'm going to say that this game, in the vein of Borderlands, caught my interest most with the story. You know, I always like to see how classes evolve. I like the controls, you know, but I'm going to say it seemed, and it could just because it's the beta, but it came off as really basic to me. So I'm really not sold on it. I was glad for the experience. I do look forward to hearing and learning more about it, but this didn't solidify a day one purchase for me, just because some of the aspects of it are a little too basic, you know, too much on the first-person shooter side, not enough on the loot-gathering, role-playing guy side that I like to see.
Yeah, and that's, you know, I wasn't sure if that. I watched, I think it was Aircoots for the Win back when the alpha was out, and it looked like she was just playing domination. Like, it looked like Call of Duty meets Halo, and that thing about the shotguns and the melee, that's completely from Halo. Like, Halo's known for overpowered shotguns and the melee attacks. So this is Bungie. They made Halo, and a lot of people are saying it feels a lot like Halo mixed with a little Borderlands, a little Call of Duty, as far as it's a little bit faster paced, and you know, you die a little quicker than you would in a Halo game. So, you know, interesting to hear. Like I said, I didn't know anything about that game. I waited till just now to hear about it. I told you not to tell me about it earlier. I just wanted to get my reactions. Sounds interesting, and maybe I think I might have heard that the PS4, Xbox One, and PC versions have upgraded AI. I don't know if that's 100% true. Could be just the developers trying to cover for some bad AI on those versions, but if that's possible, if that's true, you know, it could be a better experience on the newer systems. But you know, yeah, seemed like a good beta though. From what you're telling me, one of the things with betas usually is they're a lot more buggy than you know you're expecting.
I had one communication error the entire time.
So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Now, because we're talking about it, how about I make that our prediction? What do you think would first week sales for PS4, Xbox One? Where do you want to go with that? What do you think more? What do you feel about it?
Destiny for first week. God, I think I'm guessing it comes out on a Tuesday. I think it's September 9th.
9th.
So it'll be from that Tuesday to Sunday. I was looking at pre-orders not that long ago, and it's ahead of Watch Dogs in pre-orders. So PS4 first week sales, I'm going to say 1.8 million. Xbox One, I'm going to say 1.2 million first week sales. And, you know, this game's hyped up. A lot of people, it's one of those games where everyone's talking about it, so all of a sudden, like you tell me about it, and then I might give it a chance, and if I tell someone about it, then it's just like this domino effect of popularity. So I'm going to say, you know, close to 2 million for PS4 and just over 1 million for Xbox One. And, you know, you got the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC also. This could be pretty big. This could be, you know, 5-6 million within the first month, you know, all systems, which you didn't ask for, but I'm just saying this game.
Oh, I'm writing it down. You're on record.
and that's global too. Even though the interesting thing is, it's exclusive on PS4 or PlayStation brand. I can't remember in Japan. It won't be available on Microsoft when they release the Xbox One, and it won't be available on the 360, which is no reason. There's not a very big install base. So it's going to be a big game. There's no doubt about it. But will it live up and will it be justified? Well, only time will tell. But I'm sure the hype's going to be strong when that game releases, and a lot of people are going to be drinking the Kool-Aid, as they say. And even if there are flaws, but which it sounds like this beta sounds pretty solid, and they still got a couple months. Well, August. They got a month. It's pretty much, they got a month to patch in any changes. I'm sure the game's pretty much complete, other than any patches and tweaks here and there. But it's good to hear that it's not a piece of garbage. Like as much as people are talking about it, it's good to hear that it's solid in the beta form. So. Write those predictions down. We only got to wait like a month and a half to we'll revisit those. So talk about sales and our prediction. Move on to sales real quick. The week ending July 19th, 2014 VG charts, which is my source. I know they're not 100% accurate, but their inaccuracy should be equal across all systems if you think about it. So 3DS. Back on top, 120,579 units globally. It's dropping off a bit in America, but it's picked up a little bit in Europe, and in Japan it just exploded with that. What was that watch game?
I can't remember the name.
It's escaping my mind. Whatever that game was boosted the 3DS up big time in Japan. The PlayStation 4 just continues to sell. Like we talked about this before, I do not understand why people are buying the system right now with no games really, except for the game we're going to talk about next. 117,447. It had like 50,000 just in the U.S. that week. Unless this is just being completely overtracked by VG charts, I cannot believe that it's selling that strong still. Based on what? I mean, still the hype, or the game's coming in the future. So. Very interesting to see that still doing well, but then the Wii U still ahead of the Xbox One at 59,000. That's right around the 60,000 range. It's been holding steady. It had gone and increased the last couple weeks, but this is the first time it's dropped off. Could be because that Mario Kart 8 promotion's ending. We'll see. The Xbox One at 57,774. With really no games out, that's. Wii U's got Mario Kart 8, Xbox One has absolutely nothing right now. Titanfall, it just hit over 2 million globally. On the Xbox One, it was the first Xbox One game to hit 2 million. So, not the big success that people thought, but it's doing pretty well. And then the software sales, it was that Yoki Watch or something. I wish I could remember. It was a sequel. That was still doing strong, 300,000+. Then there was a game on the Vita. I should have wrote those down, but the Mario Kart 8 is the main one I want to talk about. Still doing about 88,000, still doing strong. And like we always talk about, those games just continue to sell. And I got I think another week and a half. Yeah, Yokai or Yokai Watch. Somebody comment, Andrew. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. But anyway, Mario Kart 8 still doing solid, and with the hype of Hyrule Warriors and stuff, there's going to be new Mario Kart 8 users pretty consistently all the way through the end of 2014. And that Mario Kart 8's at 2.2 million right now as of VG charts, as of 7/19. So within a couple weeks, I think it'll be ahead of Watch Dogs on PS4, like I predicted, which did like 30-some thousand. So yeah, that's pretty much for sales. Anything jumping out at you? Obviously, the PS4 is still selling ridiculous. Any comments you want to have on the sales figures there?
I don't have any comments other than that I enjoy listening to your comments because you mentioned the PS4 and good system, great hardware, no problem with it. I don't expect it to be selling that well. As the weeks go on, it's getting closer to maybe Destiny or something. People are picking it up. But, when there was that dry spell for it, it's amazing that it was selling in such huge numbers.
Yeah, it's almost like a Wii situation back in 2007. You know that after winter when the supply started, they started finding them in stores. But it's like I see the same four PS4s every time I go to the store. Actually, there was one less this time. And Nintendo, the Wii U's have not been restocked. I made that video like 3 weeks ago, so they got to get on that. I mean, those sales numbers could be higher. They're just this store doesn't have the Mario Kart 8 bundles, so I don't know what's going on with that. But it's always interesting. Like I said, it doesn't matter to me. I just think it's interesting to talk about and just to look at the global, um, sales, just to kind of gauge where people are at, where consumers are at. And I just can't. The PS4. I don't understand. Why is it selling over 100,000 still? I just don't understand it. Um, I could see if it was like backwards compatible or something, you could pick up some great PS3 games or something. But that was kind of my segue into the main final topic of this video, which is The Last of Us Remastered. Like I said, I believe it comes out tomorrow um, for the PS4. It includes all the DLC, mainly the multiplayer DLC, because there was only one story mode DLC, which was what you played and I did not on the PS3. And we should start by saying that we both played The Last of Us. I actually have it sitting right over there. I was going to have it and hold it up to prove to people. But I enjoyed it so much, and I had it sitting there and mentioned it to you, and surprising to me, you wanted to play it, and you played it. So why don't you just quickly give your thoughts on it so that people don't think, that we're anti The Last of Us. Why don't you give your quick take on what you thought of The Last of Us?
Just we talked about that you might bring this up today, just briefly, and instead of talking about what we talk about on the show, we started talking about our memories of going through The Last of Us. I thought that was interesting, just because we both thought and still do think so highly of that game. I didn't get into any of the multiplayer stuff part of it, but you're talking the environment and the story, and that game just sucked me in. I really loved it. I completely overlooked any bad gunplay or any frame rate issues or any visual issues. I didn't even care about it. I just wanted to go through that game and see what was going to happen next. It had me. It had its claws in me.
Yeah, and I was talking about the presentation. Like, it was last summer, and I got my surround sound up in the living room, and I had my door open with my screen, and those gunshots, just the impact. It has probably some of the best sound design I've ever heard in a game. I actually had to turn it down. I was afraid someone would think I was shooting a gun in my living room. Like, just the presentation from the acting and the voice acting and the animation acting of the facial stuff was just amazing. They used motion capture and stuff, and just the presentation. Like, this is the point we're trying to make, that we love this game. It was my number 2 game of 2013, and the point we're trying to.
For $15, I bought it just for that tiny. And
yeah, you bought that DLC thinking that.
It's just a tiny little game edition, and I played it, and I loved it.
And we had the thought that I was going to be able to download it, and we'd split the cost or whatever, and it didn't work, so I haven't.
Happen.
Okay. But the point I wanted to make was it was that story and the acting and all that got us in there. Seeing that game slightly better resolution isn't going to change the story, isn't going to make the experience much better at all, and that's what the question is. Is this too soon to bring this game out, or too late? Should it have been right after or at the launch of the PS4 and had been part of that promotion where you pay $10 to bump up to the PS4 version if you bought the PS3 version? Did they do enough? It runs at 60 frames per second. That's, I think Digital Foundry said it was, they didn't give a percentage. They said most of the time it drops down to 45 with lots of enemies, with the puffer, with all the effects. And they include the DLC for multiplayer and the story, Ellie's story, whatever that was called. And is that enough to warrant this game being out a year later and asking $50? So what do you think? What's your opinion on that?
it's gonna do well because there's not. I imagine it's gonna do well on the PS4. But I'm gonna say it out loud. I do feel like it's too soon, and I'm sorry, everyone, but I would love to play through this game again for the storyline. But I don't need to buy another version of it to do it now. You know, maybe in a few years, I'd buy another version and it, you know, looking really good, and I know it's running, so maybe give it a few years, really perfect this remastered version, put it out there. People that own the other one want to go through it again, like myself. You know, it's just too soon for me to invest in it. There's no reason for it.
Yeah, I think it's too soon to revisit that story. Like, it's one of those stories that, I mean, sticks with you, and I remember just about everything of it. Yeah, I started to play through it again, but you know, if I want to finish it, I still have my PS3. So anyone that bought the PS3 version, I feel like they should have done that promotion where for $10 you can upgrade, because this is a port, people. This is not a remaster like it's called. This is a port. They ported the PS3 code over. They had trouble, like you said, in the beginning. They couldn't get the game even up and running at all with the different architecture. But somehow they get the game out, you know, within a few months, and you know, it's not running at 60 frames constantly. And then they include the option to lock it at 30, and they put they tried to like make it sound good. Well, if you lock it at 30, then you get increased details, you get improved shadows and lighting, and it's like, so in order to get the game to look better truly than the PS3 version, you have to play it at the same frame rate as the PS3 version, which when you hear the developers talking, they said 60 frames per second. Once you play The Last of Us at 60 frames, you'll never want to play it at 30. You'll never want to go back to the PS3 version. It's just so superior, but yet they include the option to play it in 30 frames per second and not 60. So it just seems a little bit odd for the game type that it is. For anyone that's played The Last of Us on PS3, I think you're getting sucked into what's called a game drought if you're going to buy this game. If you really think about it, is it going to improve the experience? Is it going to make it any better to see it at slightly, I mean, at 1080p, like the textures were improved, but it doesn't look that much better. The game looked good to begin with. It's just a little less blurry. So is it going to add enough to justify the purchase? And if I had a PS...
Sorry, go ahead. I'm going to add to this.
I was just going to say, if I had a PS3
version, please buy the remastered version for your PS.
If you have never played this game and you have a PS4, buy the game, no question. Like, so maybe they just figured a lot of PS4 owners didn't buy the PS3 version, but they're saying the PS3 version sold 6 million copies. So I don't know what it is other than trying to fill a void. And there was a guy on Google Plus who follows me around. He's kind of a troll. If he's watching this, he knows who he is. He mentioned, and we've gone back and forth. We joked around, and you know, he said some stupid things, and I said some stupid things. But he goes, "Oh, Last of Us Remastered. You're going to talk about that? Let me guess. You're going to bring up the Wind Waker HD and say how great that is." And that's a good point. I was really going to talk about what we just talked about and the Colin Moriarty review on IGN, but to talk about a game and compare it to something. Okay, Wind Waker HD came out last year for the Wii U. 10 years later, so a lot of the audience had never played that game. There's a lot of people out that have never played that game. But my big point is, and I'll say it, I've said it before, I'll say it again, not on air, but you didn't need a side-by-side video on YouTube to see the difference between Wind Waker HD and the Wind Waker, the original. You didn't need it. Once you saw the HD, you knew, okay, this looks so much better. The lighting, wide screen, the colors, everything looked amazing. Having the gamepad, you did not need a comparison on YouTube showing the two side by side to see the difference. Would you agree with that? I mean, I didn't really talk to you about that. I remember you raving.
Give me the opportunity because I got to also chime in. What's interesting, you know, almost, you know, I'm going to use that hypocrite word, but given the 10-year gap and the vast improvement they did between Wind Waker, I'm glad, I don't know this gentleman's name, but he brought up a really good point. Nintendo got so much flack for re-releasing or rehashing a game after 10 years for doing this, but The Last of Us only had a 1-year gap. It just shocked me. I don't have any problem with a game going a number of years and coming out with an improved version on a new system. I think that's a great idea. There's so many games I would love to see that done with. I would prefer there be more than a 1-year gap, and I really hope there's a lot of people giving Sony a hard time for this.
It's taken a little bit of flack in the community and the forums and stuff.
So hard, like, oh, I remember it. I remember reading it and hearing it everywhere, you know. Nintendo game drought, they got to rehash games to get them out, and it's just, I thought they did a great job with Wind Waker HD. I didn't feel like it was a rehash. I went through it twice. Twice when I did on the GameCube.
Yeah, and it's what a remaster should be. It's a game, like I said, that it skipped more than a generation, so there's a lot of people who never played it. They improved every aspect of the game, making the original obsolete. There's no reason to ever play the GameCube version, ever. Like, it improved upon it in every single way, in significant ways. Like I said, the gameplay, the gamepad, the screen, help with sailing, everything they did improved that game enough to justify the new purchase. Does a high-res textures and a slightly higher frame rate at times justify The Last of Us? I'm not saying, like you said, if you never played it, you have a PS4, definitely go out and buy it. Is that audience big enough to justify them making this remastered? You know, it's personal opinion, but for me, I think it's too soon. If they weren't going to make it a launch game and, like I said, have that promotion, pay $10, you got the PS3 version. Why should you have to pay $50 to get the PS4 version? And like you said, why is there not more people crying over this? How come? I'll put it this way: when the Wind Waker HD came out and the reviews were all pretty good, 9 and above, all the haters were like, "Well, it's pretty sad when the best game on your next gen system is a GameCube game remastered." Well, let's talk about the review on IGN for The Last of Us Remastered. It gets a 10 out of 10 by Colin Moriarty, the biggest Sony fanboy that I've ever heard or seen in my life. So now he's saying the best game on the PlayStation 4 is a PlayStation 3 game. So it's just the hypocrisy. Like, I'm not mad that it is probably the best game available on the PS4. I don't doubt it playing the PS3 version. But the thing about the Wind Waker on the GameCube got about a 9 out of 10 average. It's on the Wii U now. It gets a 9 out of 10 because it made enough improvements where you don't want to play that off the Wii U. You don't want to go play that on the GameCube. The Last of Us, now you're saying, is a 10 on the PS3, is also a 10 on the PS4, even though... So what I'm trying to say is that you're setting the bar real low for what a 10 is for a game built from the ground up. You can't change your scale because the game's a remaster. You have to still rate it as a PS4 game or as a Wii U game. Wind Waker HD is a solid 9. But is The Last of Us using an old game engine with high-res textures? You're setting the bar low for what a 10 will be on the PS4 for a game built from the ground up, like The Order or something that's going to just really push the PS4. So I disagreed with the fact that they're releasing this soon, and I disagreed with Colin Moriarty giving it a 10 out of a 10 because this game wasn't built for the PS4. So what do you think? I mean, it's hard to convey my thoughts.
IGN some clicks, that's what I think.
Hmm?
You're getting IGN some clicks, that's what I think.
Yeah, that's, you know, that dude is just a whole nother topic. I just can't stand that guy. But a 10 out of a 10 for a port, a remastered version of a game.
So you're right. A great PS3 game, should that necessarily also be a perfect PS4 game? I get what you're saying with that. It shouldn't.
No, just from principle alone, it shouldn't be able to get a 10 because what's Naughty Dog's next game, like Uncharted 4, going to look compared to The Last of Us? I mean, if you're talking a rating a game, you got to rate it on all aspects. So, yeah, the story's just as good, but you got to talk about the presentation and stuff. All factors in. So it just shouldn't have been able to get a 10. Like if the Wind Waker HD got a 10 on the Wii U, I would have said, nah, that's not quite a 10 out of 10. It looks good, but it's not going to look as good as the next Zelda game. So what's The Last of Us 2 like they're saying they might make, built from the ground up on the PS4. Now it's, even if it gets a 10 out of 10, it just seems kind of weird, and it seems like his fanboyism got the best of him, and that's kind of why most people don't go to IGN. Actually, you were right there when I discovered it. Someone made a video talking about it. It's the only way I know. I do not go to IGN to check out reviews, so you saw me do it. We were just, some dude had a video on Google Plus and a comment about Colin Moriarty, gave it a 10, so that's how we saw it. And there is a question related to that game. That's Tony asked way early. He goes, "What's your thoughts on the frames per second drop in online multiplayer mode?" Digital Foundry said in certain situations where everyone was in like the building together, it dropped down to as low as 45 frames in an online third-person shooter. That seems a little bit unacceptable, but I didn't play it, so I can't say if it ruins the gameplay or not. But yeah, that was another thing. You know, the frame rate's not locked. It's the PS4. It's so much more powerful than the PS3, and they could not get a PS3 game locked at 60. So that is what it is, and I want to thank VGL 58, I believe, for bringing up the Wind Waker, because that's actually a good parallel to compare what a remastered game should be versus, you know, what in our opinion, that's what I think should be done. You know, take an old game and breathe new life into it and make it playable and fit to the new system. Just one last thing, it just really shows how similar the PS4 and the PS3 really are. That the game really, it doesn't change at all gameplay wise. It's the same game. There's nothing more they really can do other than make it look prettier. So that's just another thing about the next gen, quote unquote next gen, the Xbox and PlayStation. Kind of everything's based on graphics because there's really nothing else to differentiate the game. So yeah, that's our thoughts on The Last of Us. Like I said, though, it's a great game, and if you never played it and you got a PS3, definitely try to find it for, I think you can get it for like $20 places. So just a great game, and it brings up good memories just talking about it. But I think the remastered just a little too soon, too much of a cash grab. So any last thoughts you want to say on The Last of Us?
No, I think we pretty much summed it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I'm good.
All right. So we got one question, and you know, we're about at the hour mark, and I think this will be good. Now that Super Smash Bros. For 3DS is 100% complete, didn't know it had gone gold, but is it possible that we'll be seeing more exclusive stuff in the Wii U version of Smash? As far as modes, I would think they're going to announce, I think there has to be some kind of single player mode, and they're going to announce it, but maybe after the 3D version launches. I don't know about announcing it before the 3DS version. If it's something that's really cool, people might say, well, I'll just wait for the Wii U version now. I think they're going to announce it after the 3DS version comes out. What do you think, Derek? Do you think, they're obviously moving production over to the Wii U version now that the 3DS version is pretty much complete? Do you think they will announce or before or after the 3DS version?
That they're going to announce yet for it. I mean, they didn't show us what the menu looked like on the Wii U, just the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's something they didn't want us to see there.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I definitely think they're going to put all attention on the 3DS version since it's coming out first. We might not see much from the Wii U version until the 3DS version drops. Who knows? They might even do the next character reveal as in the 3DS version visuals or something. You never know. So I think a lot of people are excited for that game, and once I get done with my stupid home improvement project, I can get back to playing Brawl and practicing, because I honestly haven't played it in over a week. So I got to get back to that, because this it's getting closer. October is not that far away, and I want to have some level of improvement by the time that game releases from where I'm at right now. So if anybody didn't catch the Smash Brothers discussion we did Saturday night, it's on YouTube on my channel. And yeah, it was a good discussion. We talked a lot about the characters and stuff, and go check that out. Pretty much, that's going to be my go-to answer for a lot of Smash-related stuff now, since we had that pretty long discussion about it. So I guess any last words? Anything you want to? Did we forget anything, Derek?
No, we hit our itinerary perfectly. I'm really happy we landed on the hour mark here. I feel like we summed it up, man.
Yeah, I mean, this would be nice to do an hour each time, but sometimes can't hold to that. But appreciate the guys.
Sometimes
What's that?
there's a lot of passion sometimes, you know.
Yes, sometimes the passion gets the better of us. It's when you're talking about something you truly enjoy, it's hard to, time flies, as they say, when you're having fun. I do want to shout out to Player Essence. Now that I'm a PE Network partner, I'm sure most of you, if not every one of you, goes to Player Essence. I've said it before, I'll say it again. PlayerEssence.com. You go there, and it's a one-stop place for all news, mostly Nintendo, but it does cover lots of other stuff. You click on the article, and it gives you the link to the source material. If you want to give Nintendo enthusiasts, if it happens to be their article, give them the click on the link, and go read that, and then read the comments on both pages, Player Essence and the other one. It's just a nice avenue for finding information, and Francis does a pretty good job keeping up. I don't know how he does it. Just doing a weekly video series sometimes seems like a little daunting for me with everything else that I do. But yeah, you guys check out Player Essence, and Francis, he contributed to this show with his comment, and appreciate him for watching. I know that he's a busy man, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to thank Derek Steelfox again for joining me and having some good insight and stuff on Destiny, because I didn't get a chance to play it. And Blue Dog 54 says congrats. I'm guessing on the partnership, so thank you for that. Look to see you as Andrew on Mario Kart 8 on Wednesday night. Hopefully we won't get booted into a lobby of 4 people and get kind of screwed out of points. So with that, I'm going to say adios. And Derek, again, great having you on every time. It's always fun. So everyone else watching this, we'll see you guys on the next video.
Have a good night.